So let's get started. So we completed string and now we need to talk about list. So what is a list? List is a collection. Collection of what? Okay. Let me run P4 and clear everything. Okay. So I said list. List is what? It's a collection of items or your values. It's a linear collection of items. Okay. It's a linear ordered collection. Okay. It's linear ordered mutable collections. Okay. So now we need to understand each of these. It's a collection of items. That means so far we've been using a variable to store just one value. We used var1 to store 5, which is one value. var2 maybe to store hello. That's what we saw yesterday. You can create var3 equal to square bracket. Okay. So see, we saw the first usage of square bracket yesterday. What was that? Indexing. So if you want to get a subset of value from a given variable, you wanted indexed value, right? Let's say fifth character or first three character. So when you were doing you wanted to a part of the variable, we used square bracket. Okay. And square bracket gave you the means to get a subset. Okay. Today we are going to see, okay. Today we are going to see the second usage of square bracket. Okay. So we are going to see the second usage where we are going to store values within the square bracket. So I can store here 5. I can store here hello. Okay. So here you have 5, hello. You can have true, etc. Okay. Right. So this is what I said, collection of items. Okay. With one variable called var3, okay, you can store multiple values together in one value. Okay, great. Then what next? Okay. Next is, we said mutable collection. So this is collection, linear collection. So this is linear collection, right? So it is a linear, you know, it's one dimensional. Okay, storing in a row format, right? You have 3 values. Then we said ordered. Then we added word ordered. Order means each of these elements have an order. Each of these has a element of order. That means, okay, that means, okay, what does that mean? It means, okay, that your element 5 is at first order, or the index. The same thing I told you yesterday, that the indexing concept that we did for string holds true for list and for everything else, tuple and whatnot. So your element here, 5, is the first element. And what is the index of first element? 0. So when you say 5, hello, true, 5 has an order value of 0, hello of 1, true of 2. Okay. So if I have to access first element, okay, I can say I can say print var3 of 0. Var3 of 0 would give us 5. Var3 of 2 will give us true. Which is what I mean when I say ordered. So by default, there's an index, a position 0, 1, 2, 3. By default, it is added. Okay. Now, then we have mutable collection. Mutable collections means you can edit the value. Let's say I made a mistake of writing 5. It should not be 5. It should be 50, let's say, for example. So I can go and say var3 of 0. Var3 square bracket 0 means I'm trying to access the first element of the list. And when I say first element of list equal to 50. Now you see, if I say print var3, okay, and you run it, you get 50. Right? So you can access the element. Now, this is not true. Okay, this is not true for a string. So for example, if I say here var2 equal to hello, now I want to change this h to small h. So var2 of 0, okay, will give me small h, isn't it? So if you want to check it before I do anything else to it, you see var2 of 0 will give us capital H. But now when I try to change it to small h, okay, and when you run it, see it says star object does not support item assignment. Yes, that is going to take, that is not going to allow you to make an edit. Okay, but as I said, this is not possible. That's why we say string is immutable. Once you define the value, you can totally change it. See, I can say var2 equal to hello. I can say that. So I'm totally changing, totally replacing the old value with the new value. Totally replacing the old value with new value. Okay, you can't make edits in string, but we can make edits in list. So I'm saying first member of the list should be, okay, 50. So this is what I mean, linear, ordered, mutable collection. Collection means more than one. Linear means in one dimensional. Order means each element has its own order. Okay, there's never clash. If I say give me third element, you know which is the third element. There's no confusion about third element, order. Mutable, you can always edit the value in a list. So now it becomes easy to remember, right? Linear, ordered, mutable collection of values is called list. Okay. So this is one thing. Now, what's next? Okay. So next is you can, is there a chat? No. So next thing is you can always, okay, look at, you can always look at the values here and perform your indexing the way you would do in a string. So I'm not going to do it. Okay, I'm not going to do it because you know what it means. Right? Okay. You can add to a list just like we concatenated to string. You can concatenate to list. So when you concatenate two lists, what it means? The two lists will be joined together to form one list. Two lists will be joined together to form one list. So list 1 plus list 2, okay, you can try on your own. You can iterate through the list using for loop, of course, yes. So if I say here, for I in range, not range, okay, range is number, I'll simply use var3. For I in var3, I'll say print I. So I is going to take the value from var3. Yes. So if I run here, what do you expect to get? See, 50, hello, true. I'm going to say print using loop to get the values from the list. Everybody with me? Everybody with me? Okay, so there is, yes. Perfect. Great. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Okay. So this is about the basic operations of your list. And I just said, right, you can access each members just like you would do for string. You guys are very slow today. Okay, no issues. Let's move ahead. So okay, we'll talk about different functions that are there in list. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to create a variable called list1 equal to, and I'll say 4 comma 8 comma 12 comma 16 comma 20. Okay, it's a simple. Oh, in fact, let me not do this. Let me have a empty list first. Okay, let's see. Now we want to find average of marks in 5 subject, right? So to find marks in 5 subject, you need to run a for loop which will run input value 5 times. So I'm going to say for I in range 5, and I'm going to say marks equal to int of input enter marks, right? Now every time loop runs, your marks will be updated with new value, right? In first iteration, marks will have first marks. But then again in second loop, you are reading the second value and putting it in the same variable. You are reading the value and putting it in the same variable. So you are losing the original value, right? So before we lose the original value, we can save it in a list. So I'm going to say here, list1 dot append. Append is a function that will add value to a list. So before we began the loop, we had an empty list. And now within the loop, I'm adding value to list one. So I'm going to say list one dot append, and I'm going to say marks. Okay. And after for loop ends, you can say marks entered are. So see, you don't need 5 variables and 5 lines of input to save those 5 marks. Using couple of lines within a list and for loop, you're able to save all the marks, right? Okay. Enter marks, marks entered are, obviously, you can say here, list one. Now let's say you have 5 subjects and the marks has to be saved in those 5 subjects. Okay. So I'll create another list called subjects maybe. Okay. And I'll say here, okay, first subject, let's say English. Second subject, let's say computers. Third subject, let's say science. Fourth subject, let's say social science. Fifth subject, let's say maths. Okay. Now what I'll do here, I'll say enter marks in or enter marks of English subject, or enter marks of English. Okay. So of I will end it here and I'll say plus and I'll say subs of 0. Subs of 0 is going to give me the first element of subs, isn't it? And first element of sub itself is a string. So I don't have to convert into string. If you want, you can say str of, but since anyway the first member of subs is string, we don't have to put str of. And now I'm going to say plus quotation. Now you see. Now when I run it, so it says enter marks of English 52. Enter so I have written 0, right? See, I'm so buddhu. You should help me, right? Instead of 0, I'll say I. So I will be first 0, then 1, then 2, then 3, then 4. Enter marks of English, let's say 56. Marks of computers, let's say 49. Marks of science, let's say 98. Social science, let's say 81. Maths, maybe 89. You see, you have got all the marks. Obviously, if you want to find sum of all these, right, you can use some value here itself. You can create another loop and later, okay, maybe if not possible today, maybe later, I'll tell you how to use reduce. Okay, I'll also talk about reduce. When we do functions, we'll talk about map, filter, reduce. Map, filter, reduce are properties of list where we use functions. So we'll talk about where you can do it in one line. So let me do it here itself. So I'm going to say sum equal to 0. And before I add to the list, I'll say sum plus equal to marks. So obviously you have the sum also. Okay. So marks entered are. Now let's say I want to talk about marks of each subject. So marks. Okay. So I'll say here something like this. Subject. Okay. And I'll put this in another loop. For I in range 5. Okay. Print will be inside this for loop. Subject equal to subs of I, comma, subject, and the marks obtained is. Okay. And instead of saying list 1, I will say list of I. So I am getting each value at a time. So when you run it, you see here, enter marks of English, I say 59, 69, 79, 81, 71. Now you see, subject English and marks obtained is, subject computers and marks obtained is, So this is how you can access if you have list values. Is it confusing? Is it clear, guys? Tell me. It's fun to do programming, isn't it? What do you say? Yes. So guys, do programming. It is fun. Of course, it is useful. At the same time, it is totally fun doing it. Okay. So I would say learn program, start developing mini applications you'll enjoy. Okay. So before, I talk about another example, let's talk about other functions. Okay. Few other functions of, okay, of list. So if you talk about few other functions of list, okay, we discussed about append. Okay, let me move this away to our location, okay, so that we don't have to go through all of these. Today is 21st April, right? Day 7. Wow, we have already reached to day 7, guys. 3 more days to go. Are you enjoying? Yep. Today, 7th day will be done. 3 more days. So maybe I'll skip dictionary and tuples. I will talk about functions and class and objects. I wanted to finish class and objects in 10 days. So we will finish off. Yep. Yep. Okay. So we will, so tomorrow I'll talk about functions. We'll skip other topics like. Okay. So yes. So where was I? I was talking about different functions, right? So, okay. So let me create an empty list here. List2 equal to empty. So I told you that you can add using append. Now let me add some values. Then it will be, we can play with it. So you can add append. So see, when you do list append, right? Where does it add? Okay, append is a function. So we have to put normal bracket. And I say 24. Now when you print list, I'm going to say after append 1, let's say. Okay, list2. Okay, now when you run it, you see what happened? 24 is added at the end, right? If I go ahead and add one more, say 28, and I say append 2, 28 gets added at the end. Right? There's some chat messages. Okay, yep. Thanks, guys. So that's why I kind of start checking. Okay. So yep, I think we are good with it. Yeah. So what did we see? Append added values at the end. Correct? Okay. Now there's one more function. Okay. Extend. Okay. No, not extend. We'll talk about extend as well. So to add members to list, we have something called as insert. Okay. What insert does is, okay, insert also adds, but it asks you to enter position also. It asks you to enter position also. So if I want to add something to list 2 at say first position, append always added at the end. Append always added at the end, right? But if you want to control the position, okay, you can control using insert. So before I talk about it, okay, I'll talk about the concept of stack and queue. Have you heard of this, guys? Stack and queues? Anybody who has done any kind of programming before would have heard about it. Okay, we call them as data structures. Okay, how do you store the values in a memory? So there are many types of data structures, many, okay, and the way they work totally different. Okay, so if you want to know more about them, you can refer any data structure book. But today we'll talk about stack and queue. Okay, stack. Let me share my paint. So how does stack works? Okay, stack is like, okay, you can think of a bucket. This is a bucket, right? Now in bucket, you only have opening at one end, right? You only have opening at one end. That means this is the end to put things, and this is the end you take out things, right? Okay. So when you put books on top of each other, when you put things in basket, okay, um, um, okay, when you go to a buffet lunch or dinner, you will see the plates, stack of plates. So we say stack of plate, right? We say stack of plate. What happens when you say stack of plate? Now let's say you get a book and you put your book on your table to read. Let's say you got data structure book and you wanted to read this book. So you put on your table. Now you go back and you buy another book. Now second book is referred by your, let's say mathematics professor. You go and get your maths book on top of it. Okay, you already have kept data structure. On top of that, you have kept maths book. Now you go and your operating system professor had given you another book on top of it. So you go and put OS book on top of it. What happens? Your data structure book is at bottommost. So if you want to access data science, you have to throw away OS, maths, and then only can get access to it. So what we say here is, we say that last one that you put in is the first one to take out. Last in, first out. Last one to put in. Here in 3 books, you see, operating system is the one that you put in on the last. Okay, so you have put last book, but when you take out, you will take out this as the first book because maths book is down below. You can't access maths without accessing operating system or maths. Okay, similarly, okay, in the bucket when you put something, right, what you put is down there, then you put on top of it, on top of it, on top of it. Now when you start taking out, you cannot take this out first. You have to take this one out first. correct? So this is called as LIFO structure, or last in first out. We say stack of things, stack of books, stack of plate, stack of clothes. You get your iron clothes and you put on top of each other, right? So the one that you have put on the top is the first one that you will take out, isn't it? So stack of dresses, stack of pants, shirts, whatever. Okay. So in this case, what we say is last in, first out. That means, let's say initially you have an empty list. Now you add 4 to it. Where will you add 4? You will add 4 here. So 4 becomes here. Now if I'm going to add 8 here, 8 will be on top of 4, isn't it? Okay. So your normal append works like last in. So you're, but when you take out, you have to take out the one that is behind, isn't it? So if I create a, let's go back to our programming. So let's assume that, okay, if this is your stack, okay, and let's say left side is the open center, okay, left side is open. For example, if I do here, what I'll do is I will say something like this, or something like this. I'll say something like this to indicate that this is the open end. You can take out, okay, you can take out and you can take out and take in elements from this end itself. So the question here, can you append 2 or 3 elements at a time? You can append 2 or 3 elements at a time by concatenating the elements or extending it. Okay. See, when you say 2 or 3 elements, that is also a collection. That is not a number. What we are looking at is adding 1 element at a time. When you want to add 2 elements or 3 elements or 100 elements, you have to hold that 100 elements or 2 elements, right, in a variable. That variable itself become a list. So that means you are adding a list to a list. Adding list to a list you can do using plus. Okay, that's what I told you, right? Just like we did adding to string, you can add to list. Yes, Shivdat Mishra, I think I answered you, right? Okay. So okay, so stack, okay, so this is to indicate that this is the, now if I add here, okay, I have to add to this. Now this is our 0 position, so I can't use append. Okay, so I have to, so stack adding, how do you add stack? I have to say list 2 dot insert, and insert takes index and object in like, the index is 0 and let's say element I add is 10. So now when you print your append, or let's say simply I'll say stack. So stack, as I said, will add in the beginning here. So see, 10 is getting added. So I want to add one more. Let's say I want to add 20. So 20 will get added here. So here you don't use, if you want to keep this side as your stack open, then you cannot use append. You have to use insert and keep adding at 0, 0, 0 position. Now I need to take it out. Okay, so just like you have 2 functions to add element to a list, so we used append and insert to add. You also have 2 more function methods to remove the element. One is your list2 dot, okay, remove. Remove will take the value, okay, and second one is list2 dot, okay, pop. Pop will take index. That's the difference. Here input is the index and here Input is the element to remove. Now, if I have to implement stack, should I use remove or pop? I have to use pop because element doesn't matter. Element doesn't matter. What matters is the position. Last in, first out. So now, which element should be popped out? This element. So it is always, so your, you know, I'm going to say here, removing element from stack is going to be list2.pop0. Okay. Now, when you print the stack, okay, so see, 20 should be gone. 20 is gone. Okay. Again, you perform. So again, it's going to be 0, 0. Every time you run, it's going to be 0, 0, 0. Tuck, 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 gone. First 20 gone, then 10, then 4, then 8, 12, 16, 20. Now 24 and 8 is remaining. If I have to add, again, I have to say add at 0. So this is how you that's how you implement stack and queues using list. Okay. Now, this is only stack, right? We have not done queue. What is queue? Queue is that you add at front, but you remove at the bottom. What it means is, or you add at the bottom and remove from front. Let me go back to my paint here to talk about it. So this is element. Now this is a queue. Queue is like when you go to a movie ticket for buying queue, right? Or for doing anything, okay, you have to stand in a queue, right? Buy a ticket. Okay. So in the queue, okay, this is where, this is from where you enter. And you go and you stand here. Okay, you're waiting for your turn. If second person comes, second person also has to go from this way only and then stand behind you. Okay, and when this counter opens, this person is the first person to go out. Then this person will go out, isn't it? So this is called first in, first out. First person to go in the queue is the first person to get service and come out from the queue. Okay, so we say first in, first out. Okay, so when you say first in, first out, so you're, okay, I'm going to say here print implementing queue. Now queue, I just said, okay, I'll go to say list queue equal to empty. Now when it's empty, obviously doesn't matter. You can add anywhere. I can say list queue dot append. Okay, it will add element, let's say 5. But if I have to add second element, by default the element goes in the beginning, isn't it? No, it goes at the end only. So append is what we need. Append will add the element at the end, isn't it? First member comes, will be behind the, will be in the beginning. Second member comes, will go behind the first member. Third member goes behind it. So when you say queue, it has to be append. 5, 10, 15, okay, let's say 20. 5, 10, 15, let's say 20, right? Okay. So now if I have to print the queue, I'm going to say queue is /n, and I'll indicate that this is the front. Okay. And now I'm going to say list queue. Correct? And you run it. You see, this is the queue, 5, 10, 15, 20. Perfect. Now I want to remove it. Which one should be removed? The first one. Okay. So you will say pop 0. So first one is removed in both the cases. So pop 0 is removed, but In case of stack, you will say insert, because you want to add in the beginning. Insert 0 comma element, 0 comma element. You should add in the beginning. Unlike Q, where you have to use append because it will automatically add at the end. Okay. So here I'm going to say right? No. So pop. Pop what? First element 0. Okay. And then you can say Q here. Did you understand, guys? Those who have not heard of Q, second Q before. Okay. So stack is keep on adding and the last element added has to be removed first. Q is first element that you added should be out of the queue first. First in, first out, last in, first out. Last in, first out is your stack. First in, first out. FIFO is your queue. Okay, great. I think you guys are excellent. I see some good responses in the chat. Perfect. Okay, good. Now we'll look at some other functions. So we have covered 4 functions: pop, remove, append, and insert. Okay, one more function which is important here is called copy. Okay, so let's say I create a list here, list 3 equal to 5, 10, or maybe I'll use 6, 6, 12, 18, 24. And I create another copy. I say list 4 equal to list 3. List 5 equal to list 3 dot copy. Okay. So list 4 equal to list 3. This is one I did. And list 5 equal to list 3 dot copy. So there are 2 ways to create a duplicate copy of list. Okay, list 3 is 6, 12, 8, 18, 24, right? Now, after doing all this, I will say print 1 list 3 colon, and of course, I'll say comma here, list 3. And here I'll say list 4, list 5, 4, list 5. Okay. Now you see all the values are same. All the values are same. So what happened? The queue worked well. Copy worked well, right? It has created duplicate copy. So your list 4 and 5, they have same values. But what is the difference between them? Okay. So let me show you one more thing. I'm going to add to all the lists here. List 3 dot append. Okay. 30. List 4 dot append 36. List 5 dot append 42. Okay, I added one element to all the 3 lists. Now let me print them again, and you watch and tell me the difference. 2, 2, 2. Do you notice any difference? Tell me. I give you a minute to think and tell me. Compare the output and tell me what do you notice. No one? No one has responded so far. Wow. It's not that difficult. So yes, Kanishk has replied. Okay. So you see here, when we did list 1, list 3 rather, right? List 3, 4, 5, all three are same. Perfect. This is what we expected. Now you see, I added to list 3. So you expect in list 3, but list 4 automatically added that. Though we added 30 to list 3, list 4 automatically added. And similarly, when I said add 36 to list 4, list 3 also got it automatically. What it means? It means list 3 and list 4 are same. We call this as deep copy. Okay? Deep copy means they are same. They are representing same name. It's like you and your brother, right? If I send something to you or to your brother or sister, since you are all staying in same address, okay, you both will get the packet. It doesn't matter whoever name I give. So this is like having a one copy, but two names. Two names referring to one copy only. So what it does is, in memory, there will be only one data structure which will store the values. But there are two names to it. Okay, if you give two names, doesn't matter because it's the same thing inside. Right? So deep copy will not create a separate copy. It will actually give another name to the existing copy only. You're giving a new name, another name. It has old name, plus you are giving one more name to it. This is what we say. This is what we say deep copy. In shallow copy, this is called shallow copy. A duplicate copy is created. So this is like your photocopy. Okay, when you take a Xerox, when you take a photocopy, at that very moment, both the copies will look same. But after that, you can append things, okay, and they will be a different copy. So this is like same copy with two names. That is list 3 and list 4. No separate copy is created. In this, separate copy is created. Okay, is it clear? Did you understand? Okay, all the elements are same here when you do equal to or dot copy, Kanishk. So copy will copy all the things and create a duplicate new copy. So they are different now. The moment you create a copy, that very moment they are same. After that, they are different. But when you say equal to, they are still pointing to same memory location. Okay, this is how your list will work. Of course, there are few other functions as well. You have, let's say, list to dot, pop we did, append, remove, insert we did, copy we did, count. Count will tell you how many specific elements are there. So if I say count 2, okay, list 2, where is list 2? List 2 is, or let me do here. I'm going to create list 5 equal to 5, 10, comma 15, comma 5, comma 10, comma 5. Now, if I say list 5 dot count 10, it will tell me how many occurrences of 10 in the list. So what do I get the answer as? What should be the answer? Yes, 2. Because there are 2 tens there. Okay. If you want to reverse the list, you say here list 5 dot reverse. Now what will happen? What was last will become first. Okay, now this looks, thankfully this is not palindrome, right? So you will say list 5 now. List 5, 5, 10, 15. It becomes 5, 10, 5, 15, 10, 5. 5, 10, 5. Okay, see 5, 10, 5. So it reverse the list. You want to sort it, you can sort it as well in increasing or decreasing order. So I'll say print sort in increasing, ascending order. Okay. Normal, if you say list 5 dot sort, it will sort in ascending order. So see 5. It does not return anything, guys. Okay. So you have to sort it just like we did reverse, and then check the value of list 5 and see if it is sorted or not. So see 5, 5, 5, 10, 10, and 15. This is called sorting in increasing order. If you want to sort in decreasing order, you can sort and reverse, or simply the sort itself you say reverse equal to true. That means you are reverse. By default, reverse is false. By default, reverse is false. Now you can say reverse equal to true, and when you run it, you see 15, 10, 10, 5, 5, 5. So this is how you can reverse the element of a list. Okay. So any question before we wrap up? We have come to end, and we'll end it here. And tomorrow when we meet, we'll talk about functions, guys. Functions, then class and objects. Okay. Let me know if you have any questions. Otherwise, we'll end it here. Enjoy your Friday evening. Okay. Take care all. Bye.